Ethiopia is constructing Africa's biggest hydropower dam. Millions of people would have access to renewable energy as a result of this dam's contribution to doubling the nation's existing electricity generation. The idea, however, has not been well received by Egypt and Sudan, two of its neighbours. Egypt took a very firm stance following the start of the dam's filling process, declaring that they would not put up with any actions that would reduce their portion of the Nile's water supply. They went so far as to say they wouldn't hesitate to engage in a military battle. So let's find out more about Africa's most controversial megaproject. Let's get started. The idea for building this huge project came from the way things are in Ethiopia right now. Ethiopia has successfully managed to dramatically expand its economy over the past 20 years, despite a turbulent and civil war-torn past. Even though the economy is growing, the ongoing civil war in the Tigray region is just one of the many things that are making the humanitarian crisis in the country worse. Additionally, due to the fact that every second person lacks access to energy, even now, there are severe electricity shortages throughout the nation. To address this problem, billions of dollars are being spent right now to upgrade the nation's energy infrastructure. And this project is expected to produce the most hydroelectric electricity the African continent has ever seen. This massive project is called the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The 145-metre-tall roller-compacted concrete gravity dam, which is owned and maintained by Ethiopian Electric Power, will flood 1,874 kilometres squared at a typical pool elevation of 640 metres and have a tributary catchment of 172,250 kilometres squared. The reservoir has a volume of 74 kilometres cubed, of which 14.8 kilometres cubed is dead storage, and can store approximately 1.6 years worth of the Blue Nile's average annual flow of 48.5 cubic kilometres a year at the El Diem gauge station, just inside Sudan's border. In April 2011, work on the Grand Renaissance Dam, GRED, began. By July 2017, the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam project was expected to be operational. The project, which will benefit not only Ethiopia but also Sudan and Egypt, is being funded by the citizens and government of Ethiopia. Despite the fact that Ethiopia accounts for 85% of the river's flow, the latter two nations rely on it for their water supply. Up to 12,000 jobs are predicted to be generated during the dam's development. For many years, Egypt, Ethiopia and Sudan have been at odds over who gets to use the waters of the Nile River. However, since Ethiopia started building this massive dam on the Blue Nile, the conflict has substantially worsened. More than 85% of the water that enters the Nile River flows from Ethiopia's highlands, and the country has long contended that it has the right to use its natural resources to fight widespread poverty and raise the standard of living of its citizens. However, recently, the conflict between Egypt, Sudan and Ethiopia over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, on the Blue Nile has worsened. This is especially true after Ethiopia announced that it had begun filling the GERD's reservoir, going against Egypt's order that the dam not be filled without a binding agreement over the fair distribution of the Nile's waters. Egypt has also intensified its appeal for help from the international community. Already, the United States has threatened to stop providing Ethiopia with development money if a settlement to the dispute cannot be reached. Even though Egypt initially sought to stop even the commencement of the GERD's construction because it feared significant disruptions to its access to the waters of the Nile, Egypt, which is concerned about how the dam may affect its water supplies, has even referred to the dam's construction as an existential danger. The GERD is currently almost finished. Therefore, Egypt's focus has switched to trying to reach a political compromise on the schedule for filling the GERD's reservoir and how the GERD will be administered, especially during droughts. While Sudan is caught between the competing interests of Egypt and Ethiopia, although Sudan initially opposed the GERD's building, it has now come around, noting its ability to enhance chances of domestic development. Sudan, however, continues to worry that the GERD's functioning could endanger the security of its own dams and make it far more difficult for the government to oversee its own development initiatives. So, who can play a role in resolving this conflict between Ethiopia, Sudan and Egypt? Although Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan are the three countries involved in the immediate issue at hand, getting a technical agreement on the filling of the GERD's reservoir, the larger and longer-term objective should be for all 11 states, including Tanzania, Uganda, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, Kenya, Eritrea, and South Sudan, to come to an agreement on a legal framework for the management of this significant watercourse. Given that the struggle between Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan over the GERD appears to be among the most urgent problems in the region, it may be best to focus first on achieving a trilateral deal that secures the peace between these three nations. The other riparian governments can then be included, either via the Nile Basin Initiative, NBI, or another regional structure, in order to secure a deal that is enforceable across all the states. We wish for a peaceful resolution to the problem, and for the dam to improve the standard of living in Ethiopia and its bordering nations. Let us know what you think about this controversial project in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, press the like button and do subscribe to our channel to watch more interesting videos like this in the future. Goodbye!